Welcome to the Glow Up Revolution podcast, a podcast for overgivers, overachievers, and the strong ones in the room. We discuss everything from neuroscience-based burnout prevention to magic spells we can cast for upcoming job opportunities and everything in between. Welcome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hey, welcome back, Glowies. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're new, hey, I'm Megan, and this is a show where we talk about burnout prevention, we talk about recovery, and we embrace our glow up. So just like the intro says, you are in the right place, my friend. So I have a quick question for you before we dive in. Assuming you're not playing this at the very beginning of your day, have you eaten today? Have you had some water to drink? Do you know where your phone charger is? And there's no judgment when I'm asking these questions. I'm just checking. Because today's episode is for the woman who is running on empty or very close to it, but would never describe her as that way. She'd define herself as busy or fine or just a little tired lately. And that feels really, really relevant. And today I'm talking about a very specific time in life. And this is something that I've recently found out is called the sandwich generation. And if that phrase means nothing to you, it'll make sense. Stick with me here because this might actually describe you to a T. So the sandwich generation, and yes, that's an actual term, is describing somebody who is in like the caregiving sandwich. So they are simultaneously caring for children and their aging grandparents or parents or grandparents or something, sometimes both. So they're kind of in this sandwich, right? And I'm like, this is the perfect metaphor. When I first heard sandwich generation, my first thought was, so like kids who took their sandwiches in lunch boxes. And then I was like, or was it like those Gen X early millennial kids who made a sandwich for themselves when they got home from school? I'm like, what does sandwich mean? And then as soon as I started reading this article, I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense because like you're squeezed from both sides. You're a caregiver for kids, and it doesn't matter how old your kids get. Sometimes they just need some caregiving. Like my 21-year-old needs some caregiving sometimes. It's not the same as when he was 6, obviously, but like still there's like, I got to do mom duties. And then, you know, some of you have parents or grandparents that are getting up in age and they need their own caregiving. So the research actually shows that this group is squarely between the years of 35 and 55, which, hi, that's us. And you're not going to be shocked at all to hear that 56% of the sandwich generation caregivers are women. Not shocked at all, right? I've said it before. I will continue to say it. Those of us who are women or were socialized to be women as we were growing up, we were put in that caregiving spot as toddlers from our very first baby doll. We were told how to take care of people, to care for others before ourselves. And this is a pattern that our mothers and grandmothers didn't really realize they were teaching us, or maybe they realized they were teaching us, but they didn't realize the implications of it. Right. So we are taught to be the caregivers. And so we just kind of naturally take that caregiving status on, to the point that 56% of the sandwich generation caregivers are women. And here's what really gets me. Most of these women didn't sit down one day and just be like, you know what sounds great? Becoming the primary support system for my parents as well as my kids, and having my own career and juggling it all at the same time and still like trying to be a good friend, sister, partner, all these things. Instead, they just became that person. And so if this is you, I just want to send you like this huge energetic hug all the way from Texas, to say, I can only imagine what that feels like. There are definite drawbacks to being estranged from your family, but one of the pluses is that I will not ever be in this sandwich generation. But I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of folks are. And it might have been something like maybe your mom had a health scare. And so it's like a temporary caregiving. Maybe your dad can't drive anymore and Ubers start getting really expensive over time. Maybe your kiddo's going through something hard at school and needs more of you right now. I've noticed as my son gets older, he needs me less and less, but he still needs me. And when he was in high school, he really needed to lean on me for emotional support. He wasn't necessarily looking for me to solve problems for him, but he really needed me there just to be mom and supportive. And maybe all three of these things are happening to you all at once. Or, they say when it rains, it pours. And sometimes you find that, oh gosh, my sister needs help because she just had surgery. And my kids have these soccer games to get to. And my husband's dad, had to go into the hospital. Just like these things, they pile up, right? And you still have a career or a business to run. You have jobs to show up to. You have volunteer responsibilities. You have people who are counting on you in all areas of your life. And it still feels like you're the only one who knows where the freaking insurance cards are. The research from this year is pretty staggering, actually. Nearly half of women in midlife are at a high burnout risk. And for women specifically within the sandwich generation, that actually jumps to 64% at what researchers are calling a breaking point. And I need you to know that if you are a member of the sandwich generation, or if you just are juggling 5 different directions at once, 10 different responsibilities piled on top of each other, you are not failing at anything. The system in which we live, work, and operate is asking way too much of too many people with too little support. So what I want to drive home today is that burnout for the sandwich generation doesn't necessarily look like burnout, right? It may not look like, lying on the floor crying. It might. And that's just fine as well. Been there, done that. I have sat in the bottom of my closet and cried my eyes out because I just needed some time to sit by myself and just bawl. That's okay. It doesn't make you less than. Actually, I think that's a really good thing because you're letting those emotions flow. Okay. But what the sandwich generation or anyone who's in this place of caregiving, of supporting other people, of making sure your husband gets to his doctor's appointment, of running committees, whatever it looks like, it appears to be functional. And in fact, it appears to be highly functional. And so it looks successful. On the outside, it looks like you're handling it. And if you're one of these people that these responsibilities fall on and you rise to the challenge, chances are you're the strong one in the room. And as the strong one in the room, you get overlooked. Your needs are down prioritized. Ask me how I know. And you are sometimes left behind when it comes to the emotional, energetic, or even spiritual support that you can get from your partner, your family, your community. Okay. And there's a lot of us women in this season between 35 and 55 who don't look burned out on the outside. We look really capable and like we've got our shit together. And somewhere deep inside, there's a voice going, other people have it harder. I shouldn't complain. We justify our responsibilities and we give it an excuse to say, other people have it harder. I really shouldn't complain. My friend, if you're saying I shouldn't do something or I should do something, I want you to stop what you're doing and I want you to really analyze that statement. Because the word should comes from some outside source. Even if it feels like you have internalized it, it is actually coming from some outside source. It's a lesson you were taught when you were a kid. It's a, issue that came up when you were a teenager. It's some sort of responsibility that somebody at work or in your family put on you. That should is coming from outside the house. So here's a few ways that depletion that looks like success can show up in your life. So I want to tell you these, and I always try to give you the signs, the symptoms, all of that, so that you're aware. Because if you're hearing them, then if they pop up in your life, you can say, wait a minute. Megan said something about this. I'm supposed to be on the lookout for this. Okay, now you can change something, right? So when you become aware of something is wrong or a sign or symptom, then you can shift and you can change. And I'm getting tingles on my crown chakra because Spirit's like, yes, somebody needs to hear this week. So number one, you start becoming tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. So you can get 8 hours of sleep a night and just wake up still exhausted. Just having a hard time just pulling yourself up and getting to things. This is not a form of laziness. This is not something that you're doing wrong. It's one of two things. One, it could be that your nervous system is running at a deficit and you need something more than just a good night's sleep. Or on the other side, and I am big about medical support and intervention, it might be that you need to get your levels checked. And maybe your hormones are off, or maybe you've got a thyroid issue, or maybe your vitamin D is tragically low. Mine was horribly low. Mine was in the single digits a few years ago. I started taking a vitamin D supplement at the instruction of my doctor after we did the blood test, mind you. Felt hundreds times better. I mean, it was crazy. The smallest things can have the biggest impact on our health. So if you haven't been to the doctor in a while, if they haven't done the blood test in a while, if you haven't talked to your provider, go talk to them, please. Always go talk to them. Second, decision fatigue is also through the roof. So you can plan this entire project at work, no problem. But when you are being asked what you want for dinner or what restaurant to go to, you feel like you're trying to solve a calculus problem. You know that meme of the woman, like, she's got her brow furrowed and there's like all the mathematical like documentation flying around her, all the symbols and the triangles and the formulas. Yeah, that's what it's like. And the small decisions feel absolutely enormous because you've made all the decisions you can make in the day and you are completely maxed out. And oh my God, can somebody else just pick what we're going to eat tonight because I can't make another decision. Third is you feel guilty when you rest. And I'm not talking just like a little guilty, like, but like actually uncomfortable so you don't rest. Okay. Like you're doing something wrong by sitting down for 20, 30 minutes. I sat in a room of complete silence for 20 minutes the other day, and it took me a full 20 minutes to realize I had done it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's what my nervous system needed after a very kind of loud and bustling night. It doesn't make me lazy. And I seriously did not have any guilt over it. So I want you to have zero guilt over giving yourself space that you need. Because sometimes like we have this mental to-do list, just like going. And when we rest or when we're doing something low impact, like watching an episode on Netflix, I started rewatching Friends again. Like there's something in our system and in our conditioning that's going to be like, but you're being lazy. You didn't earn this rest. And my friend, rest is not something you earn. Rest is something that you need. It's a part of the process. It's a part of being human, of staying healthy. So number 4 is you've stopped having preferences. So it's like, what do you want to do this weekend? Yeah, shrug. What sounds good to eat? Whatever. Whatever anyone else wants is fine. What makes you happy? You can't remember. Yeah, what makes them happy is fine. Because when you've been prioritizing everyone else's needs for long enough, yours start to feel irrelevant and you start to feel irrelevant. And it's a lot of that is because you are depleted. Here is a little bit of research. Eek. The body is always keeping score, even when the brain is in denial. And I know there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. It's fine. But women in the sandwich generation are at a high burnout risk that's nearly 67% higher in medical costs than women who aren't. Because the stress doesn't stay in your head, it moves through your body. Okay. So why is the usual advice not working for you? Like, if you feel really seen by this episode, and I know there's at least a couple of you who do, you've probably tried a lot of stuff. Why aren't those things working? Why isn't it working for you? It might be because it's generic. Most of the standard burnout advice is slow down, set boundaries, take a vacation, practice self-care, do some yoga, watch some Netflix. I am not anti-yoga. I love a good vacation. I love yoga. But if you're caring for a parent with a health condition, you're raising kids, you're running a business or running a team at work or holding a demanding job, and then you're like volunteering for a local political organization or the PTA or your church, you cannot just yoga your way out of this. The problem isn't a problem with self-care. The problem is that the demands on you are part of a structure that is not working for you. And interestingly enough, it's about this same age, 35 to 55, that our bodies, our physical bodies, start throwing up red flags, and they're like, look, we can't do this anymore. So all the people pleasing, all of the folding under pressure to make sure everybody around you is happy, all the taking on everything else because you're the strong one and you can, it starts showing up in our bodies. And that's where we get that little perimenopausal rage where we're just like, what the fucking hell is wrong with everybody? And we pop off. That's where all this comes from, because our systems cannot meet the demands of the structures built around us that mean we're the only one that knows where all the documents are, or we're the only one that knows when the dog needs to go to the vet or the kids need to go to the dentist. Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is like things like your mom's doctor's appointment. It's not something you can reschedule because you booked a massage, right? Like you have to kind of schedule your stuff around the things that you're responsible. So recovery for women in this period of life, especially if you are a caregiver, is going to look really different. And what I want to encourage you to do is to stop looking at recovery, burnout recovery specifically, as addition, as something else to do, as a qualification to meet, right? I don't want you to think, what can I add to make my life better? I don't want you to go into more routines or more rituals or more fun things to do, or start talking about, getting a new subscription to a meditation app or anything like that. Not that there's any problem with that, but we tend to try to fix burnout by adding new things. Okay. So what we really need to do is, if we are in burnout, we need to begin practices or tap back into practices where we're able to release other people's energy, where we're able to let go of responsibility that's been placed on us that might not be ours. And set down the baggage that we've been carrying out of habit or out of guilt or out of shame. And sometimes that's really hard. And sometimes it looks like asking your spouse or partner for help. Sometimes it looks like, having your teenager call and make their own doctor appointment, right? That's a life skill that you're helping build for them. Okay, your obligations are real, and sometimes you can offload some of that stuff and everything still gets taken care of. One of the very best things I have ever done for myself is something that is so simple, it's laughable. I rarely step inside a grocery store. I will only step inside a grocery store if I'm really feeling like I want to kind of like piddle and take my time and explore. And then when I do, I'll do it during the day on a weekday so that there's fewer people in there, because a grocery store makes me anxious as fuck. So what I do instead is I love shopping at H-E-B because I'm here in Texas. I have the H-E-B app. I have it on my phone, and every week I put together a little grocery list, and I'm able to see how much I'm spending or what coupons are available because it's all right there in the app. And I would be willing to bet your local grocery store is the same way. And I say, yes, I want this for pickup. And you know what I do? Oftentimes, well, every time I have a good podcast or good music going. Sometimes I roll the windows down on my way to the store, and sometimes I swing by my favorite little coffee shop and pick up a cute little mocha or something, a little sweet treat for myself when I go pick up my groceries. And it has taken the pressure out of keeping a budget every week for groceries. It's taken it off my plate. It's also taken off the anxiety. It's taken off of the taking the hour and a half, 2 hours of grocery shopping off my plate. I just don't have to worry about it anymore. If I really wanted to, I could send one of my guys to go pick up the groceries. But honestly, I kind of like the little drive up the street, get my coffee, listen to my podcast. It's a nice break during the day. I'm not doing more. I'm doing less and still getting the shit done. Okay, so that's a mission for you this week, should you choose to accept it, is to see how you can still get everything done that you need to get done, but like in a different way. How does that look different? Right? So let's talk a little bit about some other things that actually help, because I went off on a tangent there. Like, let me get back to my notes. So the first one is to name what's actually happening. It's not, I'm tired or I've been busy lately. It's really, specific. I'm in a season of dual caregiving and high demand, and my nervous system is depleted. Naming this really matters because it puts it into perspective, and it also brings it into like a grounded reality for you. It's not abstract in any way when you're very specific. And if you're not dual caregiving, that's fine. You can just say, I'm in a season of high demand and my nervous system is depleted. And you can get super specific and be like, work is particularly demanding right now. My nervous system needs a rest. Number 2 is find your minimum viable restoration. So if you have ever been in development or if you've owned your own business, like a minimum viable product is like the basic, this is good enough to ship to the customer. Well, you need a minimum viable restoration, because this really is basically the least you can do during a season like this. You may not be able to take a week off, but you can take 30 uninterrupted minutes off. You can have your meals at the dinner table or the breakfast bar, not standing over the sink and certainly not sitting at your desk, and more than a granola bar that's been buried in the bottom of your purse for the past 6 months or longer. You can also go to bed 20 minutes earlier a few nights a week. Minimum viable restoration isn't settling. It isn't caving to the stress. It's a little sustainable shift that helps you move in the right direction. Number 3 is you can stop doing the invisible labor all alone. So there's a lot of labor that's happening in your household or in your family, and it is invisible. It's the mental load of tracking everyone's appointments, managing medications, knowing what's in the fridge, meal planning. Just write that shit down and make it visible for everybody. Put a big fat calendar on the wall or on the fridge so that everyone can see what's up. And that way you can redistribute those tasks to other members of your family. Like I said, your teenager who's 16, 17, even 18 years old, still in high school, they deal with new situations all the time. They can call that doctor and get on the appointment book. That'll teach them how to do it. They learn how to do it. They're not just let out, Um, your husband can pick up his own damn dry cleaning because most of those places are open late in the evenings or on Saturdays. You don't have to do all of this. And when it's out in front of you, you're going to remember to delegate, and others are going to see it as well. And if you have a supportive family, they will step up. Okay. Number 4 is let your body lead more. So when you're in overdrive, you can get really good at overriding your physical signals. You just kind of think your way out of it. You willpower your way out of things. Okay. And you will eventually just kind of ignore your hunger until you're ravenous. And by then your blood sugar has tanked and you are not making the best decisions for your day and you're feeling super tired. And then you are just so hungry, you're going to shove whatever you can in your mouth. It's probably going to be something high carb. You're going to have a sugar crash and you're going to feel awful. And it's going to feel like a different brand of overwhelmed. Just as a very non-specific example of what I used to do. I hope you detected the sarcasm in that non-specific thing. Start practicing your smaller check-ins with your body. This is not like a whole meditation process. It is just a pause. It's to see what's up. Like if you notice your stomach's rumbling, say, hey, why is my stomach growling? And then if you think, oh, because it's 12:30 in the afternoon and I haven't had anything but coffee today, go eat some real food. Your nervous system and your body have information that your super busy brain doesn't always have access to. So listen to it. And number 5, I want you to get really comfortable saying not yet. So not yet is not the same as now. But not everything needs an answer right now. It is so easy to feel overwhelmed by what everyone needs from you. Not every request needs an immediate yes. You can say, let me check and get back to you. Okay. You know, if somebody invites you out to a happy hour, it's okay to say, you know what? Let's rain check that for a week out because this week has been really busy. It's okay. You're allowed to create pauses before you commit in your conversations. You're able to create space between the question and your response. And you don't have to say yes at all. So I want to leave this with you today. If you heard any part of yourself in any part of this episode, like the exhaustion that the sleep doesn't fix, the guilt when you rest, feeling like you've lost track of what you really want, I want you to know that you're not doing anything wrong. This is not a failure. This is not a discipline issue. It is not a gratitude or self-care issue. It's what happens when someone has been asked to carry more than one person should carry for far longer than any one person should carry it without nearly enough support. Okay? If you find yourself in the sandwich generation, I want you to know that's a real thing and the burnout is really specific and different. And you still deserve the recovery that you need that will fit the lifestyle you're living and will also support you in your healing. If today's episode resonated, please share it with someone else in your life. Share it with another woman that needs the message. I genuinely believe this is one of the most powerful things that we can do for each other, is to share information like this and for you to hear that you're not alone. And you're not crazy for being tired. And especially here in 2026, we are all really, really tired. I'll have a couple of links in the show notes for how you can get in touch with me, any questions you might have. I'm also going to include a link for a summit that I am a part of the first week of June. So June 1st through 4th. I'll be kicking things off on day 3, so June 3rd. And I'll also be part of a panel discussion. There's a Facebook group. Speakers are all in there. We're already hanging out. I've already had a peek at some of the goodies in the survival kit, which is an additional thing, but you can just attend the summit for free. You don't have to buy that if you don't want to. I'm going to put that in the show notes too. If you've been around for a while, you know that I don't do summits very often at all. But my friend reached out and was like, hey, I really want you in this summit and I really want you to talk about astro healing. So we're talking about healing with your astrological chart. So if that is your bag, baby, the links are in the show notes. The link for the Patreon is also there. Thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreon members, both free and paid. And I want to give a shout out to my two most recent paid members. Thank you so much, Susan D. And thank you so much, Des L. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for your support. It really takes the pressure off of creating this podcast to know that I have my Patreons, my glowies supporting me along the way. And it also means that I don't have to really try to put ads onto the show, which is really nice for both you and me. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I know this was kind of a long episode, and I think it was a really important one. So I'm glad you stuck with me, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and of course, as always, stay magical. I'll see you next week.